Hi, we're from SATNAV magazine. I'm Adam Dorey.
And I'm Abigail Joyce.
And we're here to interview Yvonne Baker as part of the College of Engineering and Physical Sciences Distinguished Lecture Series. Yvonne Baker is the Chief Executive for STEM Learning and a graduate chemical engineer from our very own University of Birmingham.
First of all, thank you so much for agreeing to speak with us today. Being back on campus, what's the most noticeable change you've realised since arriving?
Oh my goodness, huge amount of changes. The number of buildings, as you came off the train at University Station, in my day, you literally walked along towards Old Joe and you could see chemical engineering standing there very proudly, and now it looks like a tiny little building. It always seems so big.
So do you remember any particular moments in your educational career that really drove your passion for STEM outreach and volunteering?
I've always enjoyed science and things, you know. As a child, some of my early memories are going to the Science Museum, going to the Natural History Museum. I was lucky enough to have parents that were able and willing to take me. I took my bike apart one summer holiday when I think I was about 11, probably, you know, just for want of something else to do really. I laid it out all on the back patio at my parents' house at home, and I put it back together again, cleaned it all off and put it back together again. Never worked quite the same again. But I think that's sort of, you know, that was always an innate curiosity really about how things work and what have you. But I think it's just growing up believing that science is something that's interesting and technology is something that's interesting, and being encouraged to think that and being encouraged to ask the question why all the time. You know, I just think curiosity is a fantastic thing. Curiosity is actually what drives human discovery. It drives human endeavour in all walks of life.
What was it about chemical engineering that made you want to stick to it? Was there anything about it as a discipline that attracted you?
I'd done maths and chemistry at A-level, 2 maths and chemistry at A-level, and you get to the point where you go, okay, that was quite a good choice at the time, but what does that mean I can do at university? And so actually chemical engineering was something that sort of seemed to combine those two. But what do I enjoy about it? What I actually really enjoyed was that led me into manufacturing, into making stuff. And I love making stuff. I love being able to see what you've done, to see what you've achieved, to see what you produced. And I still find that, you know, probably some of the most satisfying years of my career, to have actually gone home and known that you've been successful in making something, or some days not been successful in making it and then having to work out why. But then there's lots of fun in the problem solving as well, isn't there?
What are the main frustrations in the things you do?
What frustrates me more than anything else is people putting obstacles in the way of things. You know, if you're trying to solve a problem, somebody having a good idea, but somebody going, oh yes, but I sometimes think we've not lost the ability, but we don't value the ability enough for people to just have a go sometimes and try and solve problems, and actually understand that sometimes you won't always be successful in solving those problems, but actually there's a real sense of satisfaction in trying to solve problems, and there's a real sense of curiosity and sort of pushing the boundaries. But I always say to people, you know, there's a couple of things. You can never compromise health and safety. I totally accept that and totally get that, totally support that. You can never compromise things like data protection. But apart from that, you know, have a go. Have a go. If you've got a problem, if you can improve something, have a go at improving it. You never know, it might actually work.
So the STEM ambassadors have made a huge impact in educating young people on the opportunities that are available to them in STEM careers. What would you say has been your favourite aspect of the role of Chief Executive of STEM Learning so far?
I think my favourite aspect in working with the STEM Ambassadors programme right from the word go is the fact that it's still here 18 years later, and actually that people like yourself volunteer as STEM ambassadors, and you make an enormous difference for young people. It also makes an enormous difference for the people who get involved as STEM ambassadors themselves.
So it was International Day of Women and Girls in Science a month ago today, and I found it uplifting to see social media flooded with women in STEM careers who are promoting awareness and representation. Would you say that social media has helped or hindered the portrayal of women in science?
I think social media is always a mixed bag. I think media, full stop, is a mixed bag. It can help, of course it can help. But actually it can really hinder as well, because sometimes it can really nail and hammer in some of those really unhelpful stereotypes. I think as long as it's positive messages and also relevant and relatable messages, I think it can be really strong. But actually the most powerful thing is for young people and their families and their teachers and communities to see women doing the jobs in real life.
And finally, do you have any memorable stories of being at Birmingham that you can share with us today?
I have quite a few memorable stories, yes. Some of which I probably couldn't share, to be fair. But no, I think, sort of sitting here in the lecture theatre in Kemenge, which is now the Biddleston Lecture Theatre, which is lovely, because I actually do remember Joe Biddleston from when I was at university. He was one of the lecturers then. Yes, I have lots of memories of sitting here in lectures, sometimes paying attention, sometimes not. My very first lecture in this theatre was actually about the Reynolds number. I remember that distinctly, and I still remember the formula, du rho over mu. And I also remember sort of various, rag weeks and things like that, and festivities going on in this lecture theatre. Lots of memories about time on I was lucky enough to live on the Vale for 3 years. Lots of memories about great times at Widdrington Hall, which is now part of Shackleton. Lots of memories about Frank Morton Sports, which is the chemical engineering sports that goes on with the various universities. As I always say to people, Birmingham's such a friendly university. I think that's one of the reasons I chose it. I always felt at home here.
If you'd like to read our coverage of this interview and other articles about forgotten people in science, follow our social medias, Twitter @SatNavMag and Facebook @SatNavMagazine. Thank you.